Welcome to Garden Plants with Jim Putnam. Let's talk first choice Caryopteris. Caryopteris, clandonensis, first choice. This is a super compact growing Caryopteris. I grew this one for a long time at my nursery. Beautiful blue-green foliage, award-winning from the Royal Horticultural Society, and for good reason. Just a great compact habit. This one will reach 2 to 3 feet in height by 2 to 3 feet in width. It'll get bigger than that, but it can have do some winter pruning on it. I'll talk more about that a little later in the video. First choice Caryopteris blooms like crazy with these really vibrant purple flowers. In the late summer it'll start, although this one I'll see a few flowers even early summer. But by late summer and going into fall, it comes into its just full flower, and it's just absolutely amazing. They're fragrant. The pollinators absolutely love them. You'll see all types of pollinators on these, bees, butterflies, of course, and then all kinds of small wasp and other interesting pollinators as well. These are hardy in zone 5 to 9, so almost anybody watching can grow this plant. I don't know if I said in the beginning it is deciduous, so it'll lose its leaves in the winter, but its compact habit leaves it still looking great. Has great winter structure, let's call it that. And again, this blue-green foliage is quite amazing. First choice Caryopteris will grow in the sun or the part shade, but the more sun, the more compact it will be. This one is literally in the sun from 7:30 in the morning until the sun sets in the evening. So this one is really getting blasted, and you can see it has an overall very full, compact habit. When you're dealing with a plant here that'll grow from zone 5 down to zone 9. Those of us who are in 7B, 8, 9, this plant definitely benefits from being underplanted with other plants. It has a fence on the other side of it. All those things are kind of shading the roots of this plant, and that's allowing it to really stay fresh looking toward the end of summer. Some of these deciduous shrubs can be look a little rough here in the southeast by the time we get to this time of year. But again, having all these things around it has protected it. Where we're going to use this in the landscape, well, we have this little 2.5-foot fence out by the road, and it's just a perfect piece for that because the flowers are right over the top of it as you're looking in from the fence from the other side. It's going to be great in a cottage garden, be great in a container. Just a perfect accent piece. You could plant several of them together, but I think just one by itself like this really looks fantastic. We're shooting this in the middle of October, so our annuals have slowed down, but you can see we used a white and pink colored zinnia planted around the base of it with that purple. It just looks great together. Shooting this at 7:30 in the morning, and it's absolutely covered in bees right in the middle of October. We're a week or two away from getting a frost at this point, and that's going to knock it back, but it's amazing to have something with this many pollinators here right up through the middle of October. Where are we going to plant this? Any place with kind of well-drained soil. It was not a plant that would like to sit in water, and so I've got it slightly elevated out here by the road in a kind of a clay-based soil. We did add some compost out here, and that compost has been mixed in as plants were planted, but it wasn't originally incorporated into the ground. Then the soil's been covered in mulch the entire time, and again, part of that's to keep the roots cool, part of that's to keep weeds away from it, other than the few annuals that we're planting around it, which aren't weeds, but they are planted up close to it. Very, very drought tolerant once established. Like anything you're putting in the ground, that first year you're going to want to keep an eye on it. If you're planting this, if you're buying this plant in kind of peak flower, which is where I think a lot of people are going to purchase it, if you're putting it into the ground like that, you're definitely going to want to keep an eye on the watering, because it's difficult to transplant the plant into the ground and then have it be in full flower and that not stress the plant. So sometimes if I buy a plant in peak flower like this one is right now, I'll just set it to the side and enjoy the flowers and then plant it after it finishes flowering. And this being so cold hardy, you can plant it pretty much anytime you wanted to going into winter. I only fertilize my shrubs once a year, and I do that in the late winter. And this plant can get a double operation done to it. So you can use some sort of organic fertilizer in February or March, and at that same time you can chop this plant back very hard. It blooms on new growth during that season, so it has to get bigger in order to flower. So when we're talking about a plant that's going to stay in this 2 to 3 foot by 2 to 3 foot range and have this tight, compact habit that this particular Caryopteris has, the way that's achieved is by chopping it back a bit in the late winter. So I'll cut this down to about 18 inches. And it will recover about 18 inches during the growing season next year and then bloom about the same exact height. If I leave it just like it is, it's going to, like I say, it's going to have to get bigger. Eventually it will open up a bit in the middle too. So this is a plant similar to a butterfly bush that's best to cut it back hard in the wintertime. This is extremely rabbit and deer resistant. I don't talk about deer resistance a whole lot, but I'm pretty confident when we're talking about plants in the Lamiaceae, which is the mint family, those plants tend to be your most deer resistant plants. It doesn't mean that all, deer don't read the deer resistant list, but for the most part, this one is considered very deer resistant. It has the fragrance that you'd expect from something in the mint family as well. But this is absolutely one of my favorite plants. These blue mist plants, many people call them, are Caryopteris. This particular hybrid called First Choice is just such a great ornamental plant. You can see why it is an award winner. So this is First Choice Caryopteris. Thanks for watching.